Hey, I'm Michael Salmon. I'm the Director of Operations for the New York Yankee Steakhouse right behind me here on 51st Street. Tonight, very excited. Beautiful night here in New York. We have John Rothstein, CBS Sports, here to talk about the NBA draft. Total home run? No, it's a three-pointer, a slam dunk. You got to come in.
Having John here tonight is a huge catch for NYY Steak. As the college basketball insider for CBS Sports, we certainly love the kind of preview of the NBA that he's going to be giving our guests here tonight.
Where we're going to do business. Again, I'm John Rothstein from CBS Sports, and I am here with you tonight to break down the 2015 NBA draft. We are going to do this in different increments. We are going to talk about the lottery first and the top of the big board. We are then going to open things up for a little Q&A with you, the audience, where you can ask me anything you would like to ask me about tomorrow night's NBA draft. If you have a college basketball question, that is fair game as well. But again, the floor is yours. I want tonight to be about interaction. Now, the top of the draft is pretty concrete. It is 99% certain that the Minnesota Timberwolves will take Karl Anthony Towns at the number 1 overall spot. But that's where things get really interesting. Because after that, the Lakers will have to debate whether to take Ohio State's D'Angelo Russell or Duke's Jahlil Okafor. Okafor to the Knicks. It's an interesting question. What's your name? Admar. It's an interesting question. You know, I was told last week that the Lakers were dazzled by D'Angelo Russell in a private workout. Now, if the Lakers were to select D'Angelo Russell second overall, that would mean that the Sixers would likely either take Duke's Jahlil Okafor or Latvia's Kristaps Porzingis. The interesting thing about the Sixers, when you look at the way they've drafted the past couple years, they have been a team that is drafted on the best potential asset rather than the need. If you look at their roster, they have Nerlens Noel under contract. They took Joel Embiid last year, even though he's never played a game. It is more likely, if you were looking at a regular general manager, that somebody would look at their roster and they wouldn't take a player like Jahlil Okafor. If there's one thing for Knicks fans to hope on, it's that Sam Hinkie opts to go foreign like he did last year with Dario Saric and take Kristaps Porzingis. Good question. His question was, who do I think takes Wisconsin's Frank Kaminsky in the NBA draft? I firmly believe that if D'Angelo Russell, Jahlil Okafor, and Karl Towns are not on the board when the Knicks pick at 4th overall, they will trade down. Now, something that I can tell you that I've gathered from the past couple of days, the Knicks have weighed seriously trading down to the latter part of the lottery to get a veteran player and also accumulate a later pick. If the Knicks were to do that, the two players that they have done extensive research on to get a latter lottery pick and take are Wisconsin's Frank Kaminsky or Kentucky's Trey Lyles. Frank Kaminsky right now is projected in the 10 to 14 range. I think if you're going to take an international player in the lottery, you have to have patience. You can't be in a situation where you're living in a microwave culture in terms of your franchise, where you want somebody that can give you instant gratification and production next season. I think if you're going to take an international player, you have to be in a situation where you can have them grow within your franchise. Question was, will there be a prospect going late or will there be a prospect going early? I think if there's one player that was projected to be a lottery pick that has a chance to slide, it's Kansas's Kelly Oubre. Kelly Oubre came into the year as one of the top freshmen in college basketball. He struggled to get on the floor for Kansas in November and December. He had issues with Bill Self in November and December. He had a solid freshman year at Kansas, but I think in college basketball terms, if Kelly Oubre makes it to the NBA, he's going to have to quote-unquote redshirt. Question was, where do you see Willie Cauley-Stein from Kentucky going? I think there's a good chance that Willie Cauley-Stein, if he's on the board at Sacramento, will be selected by the Kings to play with DeMarcus Cousins if he's still there. If not, I don't think he will get past Indiana at number 11. One thing, too, that I think is paramount to remember when you're evaluating all the players on Kentucky versus other players in the 2015 NBA draft, you can't compare the Kentucky players statistically to other players potentially being in the lottery because they played half the game. It's been the argument that people have had back and forth with Karl Towns and Jahlil Okafor. Karl Towns was not featured the way that Jahlil Okafor was featured on Duke. He also played 10 less minutes a game. And I think if you flip-flop both players and Karl Anthony Towns was on Duke and featured the way Okafor was, there wouldn't be a discussion about who the top overall pick in the NBA draft was. To piggyback on that, He asked me, what's a player that, could potentially fall? I think if there's one player that is being undervalued, and there's one player that will potentially rise up the board tomorrow night, it's Devin Booker from Kentucky. Devin Booker is unequivocally the best shooter in the 2015 NBA draft, but people seem to forget that, again, he was playing at Kentucky, and he would have been Kentucky's starting shooting guard if Andrew and Aaron Harrison didn't come back to school for their sophomore season.